Recording in progress. Welcome to my Views of My Own podcast. Hey, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, why don't you leave a 5-star rating? It would be super helpful to the podcast, and I'd love when you do that. If you're watching it on YouTube, please give it a like. All right, that's my spiel. My guest today is artist, musician, and dare I say it, rising star, Paris Hart. I'm seeing it, man. I started following you on Spotify, and I'm like seeing it like every day. Like you really are on a come up. It's really happening. So congratulations. How you doing, man?
Thank you. I'm doing good, and I've been excited too. Every day I'll text my engineers. I'll be like, "These are the numbers. Here's a screenshot." I'm pretty sure he's annoyed by now, but I told him I was like, "We're like a couple at this point, man. So you gotta deal with me now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got some good music videos out too, man. But yeah, I was because I guess I met is listed like your agent or publicist or something like I'm not sure.
Oh,
She's like some
manager.
manager. Okay. So I email with her a lot. And so before I even met you and like started like, following you on social media and all that stuff, she was just like, yeah, you should check out Paris's music. And I was like, all right, like, I was like, I always want to like listen to something I don't know about. And then I got on Spotify and I was like, oh, this is dope. And then I was like, and then I was trying to find, then I was like, well, now I want to go on YouTube because I want to see like, I want to see you in action. And you got a lot of like, you do a lot of different stuff, man. You got like that one video in New York. I think it's a couple years old, maybe something like that. And it's like totally divergent from everything else you do. It's like you're kind of just like walking around New York just rapping. Like,
So actually, that song I went by a different name before, and I'm not gonna say it because I'm mad at that artist. And then there's
okay,
another artist from Chicago, and they sent our whole team a cease and desist, and was like, you using the same name. I've been using this name, and like he didn't have many views, but I was like, oh, like you could have just messaged me, like didn't have to bring lawyers and everything into it. So I was
yeah,
like, how can I do this? I should make a diss song. So that whole song is
okay.
just typical diss song.
Okay, so that's the thing is like why I wanted to ask is like, I mean, you sing, and like you're melodic and like you don't rap a lot, and I was just kind of like, oh, this is really different. Like he's like you're in New York, you're rapping, like it's I mean it's cool. It's one of my favorite songs that you've done, and now I love it. I love to find out that it's also dissing somebody who like threw you a cease and desist for unnecessary reasons. So yeah, yeah. Let's not share his uh artist name because we don't care.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah.
all right. Here's the question that I think everyone truly does care about, or at least I personally care about the most. It's like, as in, even if you're listening to this and you've never heard Paris's music, you'll still be interested probably in like if you were going to add some extra flavor. Let's just say I'm gonna get right into it, man. I'm doing too much preamble, but it's almost Halloween, so I can talk about seances and shit. Hypothetically, all right. Hypothetically, I'm not saying I can do this, but I'm not saying I can't. If I could hold a seance like in a recording studio, and I could resurrect any musician from any era, and you could collab with them, like they would like their ghost would come back, and like if they played an instrument, they could do that. If they sang, they could do that. Who would you choose to do a collab with?
I gotta go Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay, dude, that's crazy, man.
He's
Yeah,
like he's just so funky, and I think he was always like true to himself, and that's really what I try to like push because the industry is like you have a lot of people saying you should do this or you should do that or like this fits your vibe, and really like I think music is so universal. Like Gangnam Style, we don't know any words what he was saying, but we all know the song, so
yeah,
it's like if it's a vibe, it's a vibe, and I think he was big on that.
yeah. And he was young, man. Like when he passed away, he was so young. There's no telling like how much further he would have pushed it. Like because he was already like such an innovator. Like you know, uh, he was one of the guys that died at 27, right? Part of the 27 club, like Kurt
Yep.
Cobain. Uh, who else? Janis Joplin. It's such. I know that everybody knows this, and I'm just old. It's old hat to talk about, but I always think about how wild it is that that guy, the lead singer of Sublime, Amy Winehouse. I mean, it just goes
Winehouse,
on and on and
yeah.
on and on. It's nuts, dude. Anyway, I don't have a conspiracy about it. I think it's crazy. Hey, do you want to hear mine? That I thought of it last night because I was
Who's yours? Who's yours?
so I was out driving kind of late at night, and there's a new radio station in town. It's a nonprofit, so I love it. So they can play whatever they want. It's like old school radio because the DJs can play whatever they want, and it was like the funk hour, and I was like, cool,
Ooh.
man, funk. And then James Brown came on, and I was like, I haven't listened to James Brown in quite a while, and then, obviously everyone's heard him, but like he's not one of those guys that I just think about. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put on a James Brown record right now. Like I just don't think that, especially because I'm always out looking for new things. And then I heard this, I was like, oh, I forgot I love this dude. Like I love his whole vibe. And I was like, and then I was thinking that I knew I was gonna ask you that seance question, and I was like, oh man, James Brown would be my dude.
It's a
Just
good
get
one.
on
He's
up
funky too.
like a sex machine. Yeah, dude, he's funky. I like honestly, and I love too. He's just playing like funky riffs, and then he's just yelling crazy shit. It's it's like beautiful. It's a beautiful form of music. But no, you're right. Your answer was like really, really good too. So oh man, what would you do? Would you like you sing, he plays guitar, and you guys just jam, or like what do you think you would do?
Well, I would just like to have a jam sesh.
Yeah, hell
Just
yeah,
like he plays and maybe like I grab a saxophone or something and just start just grooving and riffing and just whatever happens, happens.
dude, that would be so crazy to do a jam session with Jimi Hendrix Ghost. And then I walk in with James Brown's Ghost, and I'm like, let's
Ooh.
just go nuts. And then I don't know what I would be on. I'd be on Ableton. I would just be making a beat.
Uh, that's when the party starts when y'all get there.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I'd be embarrassed to pull out like a traditional instrument around those guys. Like I wouldn't want to pull out a guitar. I'd be like, how about I just get on the beats here? All right, so back to you, man. Let's talk about your music for a second, dude. Your single, Coupe de Ville. Is that how you say it? Coupe de Ville or like Coupe de
Yeah,
Ville? Coupe de Ville? It's a car.
yeah.
I mean, I know it's a car. I'm just, you know how like when it's like a revolution, it's a coup. Like so,
Oh yeah.
and then I was like, all right, people at home right now are listening to me and they're like, damn, Doug, you're so stupid. I always say I mispronounce something or say something really stupid. Like, is it Coupe de Ville? Anyway, you have a song. You have a song called Coupe de Ville, not Coup de Ville. All right, and it's blowing up. It's one of the like this. I would say it's one of your biggest songs that's out right now. I and just want to like, can you give me a little bit of like insight, like into like what? First of all, what's the song's about? Like, and what was the creative process with that track? Like, did you just like get in a Coupe de Ville one day and you're like, this is the song?
So I was it's so random. I was on the phone and like most of the songs I get are like either they're happening in my life or like a real good friend is just telling me about their life and I'm like, this is really good. Someone else has to be feeling what you're feeling. So we were we were riding down the road and my cousin was calling me talking about how she just got cheated on and like I'm trying to be a good supportive cousin, but like after 30 minutes, like there's not much more I could really say or do.
Yeah,
So
you just start
so
saying
there's
that's
a call.
crazy. That's crazy.
It's facts for real. Oh my gosh. So so I'm just vibing and like I'm listening, and then someone was literally on the side of the road in a coupe de ville, like pulled over, and their car was just broken down. So we had the little portable battery, and that was like my saving grace of being like, okay, we gotta, yeah, someone's pulled over. I'm gonna see if we can help them. I gotta go.
Yeah,
And basically, he was just talking about his life story, about basically his day, how it was going while we were helping him. And after those two events, I'm like, huh, like I'm talking to my cousin, and I'm like, you know, Coupe de Villes, they're not really popular anymore. And like you know, as a guy, like a lot of my guy friends, we always talk about like society standards are like, kind of the more girls you get, the more you're kind of like valued as a guy, or like
yeah.
society has like this weird value. So we were talking about it, and then I was like, dang, like just threw a joke out there, like like my cousin's boyfriend's gonna come back someday. And then just just went to the studio, and I was like, you know what, like that would be a good song because I know a lot of people like they probably have been cheated on or they might be going through the same thing right now. And it's like the coupe de ville isn't popular. Like you're kind of not popular after you come back and you're like, hey, can we fix this? So that's how
Yeah.
the song was made.
Oh, yeah. And dude, and I've seen what you just described. I've seen that happen where like also, man, you ever like have you ever witnessed a breakup? I mean, obviously you just described one, so I've been like cousin clearly, but like where it's a friend and there's a breakup and but like the two like but you were cool with both people, but you got to pick one because it's like because it was a bad breakup. You know what I mean? And so, and I typically for me, it's not like I've never really been that torn. Like I'm usually like, because it's usually like I'm just gonna go with whoever is more my homie, you know, like, and I'm like, sorry, you were cool, but I just, it's like it's like
For real.
like he got me in the divorce, but it is wild like when people make that decision and then they decide to bring that person back after like after also because you want to like commiserate and they're like oh man she did this to me she treated me horrible she gaslighted me she cheated on me like whatever they say and so you're a good friend and you're sitting there you're like yeah man she's a bitch I hate her she's sucks she doesn't deserve so you've said horrible things about this person, and then she comes back into their life, and you're like, because then it's like awkward forever because you're like, man, I've said terrible things about you, but like from a good place in my heart.
For real. And
Dude,
that's
so
tough. It's so tough. Oh, and then you're sitting there and like both of them are there and you're like, oh, I wonder if they told each other anything that I said. Like, I don't want to be the bad guy, but
yeah, and we're like, man, Paris said you were a fucking bitch. He said he
oh.
hated you and he hopes he never sees you again.
And then you're awkwardly sitting there at brunch, like, hey,
Hey, brunch.
missed you.
Oh, this is fun. They've got like a I was trying to figure out what's the drink, the orange juice champagne. What the fuck is that drink?
All of them, the mimosas
Mimosa,
or
yeah. I was trying to think of a mimosa flight. Have you ever seen that where they're like they bring you like five little juices so you can like make like five different flavors of mimosa?
I'd never seen that. That's
Oh, dude.
wild.
Man, I went to brunch one time. I know it was in Florida, but man, I think I was in Destin. I don't know, but I found the spot. It was so cool. So it was on the beach. It was like a balcony looking out over the beach, and like I was not planning on getting drunk at like that time that in mid morning. But then I was like, oh, it was the first time I'd ever had a mimosa flight. I was like, this sounds cool, and they're like, and it said bottomless, and I was like, all right. And
Oh,
so we went there to eat, but then I was like, these the bottomless they weren't lying. It's like they would just kept coming back and refilling the champagne, like until finally I was like, well, I'm day drunk. Let's jump in the ocean. So all right. Anyway, I feel like we kind of like got a little bit Coupe de Ville, though. It's yeah, it's it's the story. Man, I can honestly off the top of my head, I can't even imagine what a Coupe de Ville looks like. Is that like a what is that like a Cadillac? Is that like a sedan?
it's I think of the old school, if you ever play GTA San Andreas,
Yeah.
like the old school little cars with the hydraulics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a cool car, man. It's funny, like that's the easiest way to explain anything to anybody is go like, all right, in Grand Theft Auto, the car that you do this with.
For real.
my buddy, my buddy bought a car recently, and I was like, "Yo, what'd you get, man?" And he's like, "Well," and he was trying to explain to me. And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And he goes, "All right, man. In like GTA 5 or GTA 4, uh, when the FBI comes after you, the car they come in." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's one of those, and it's called a Fib Buffalo." He's like, "I basically got a Fib Buffalo," and I was like, oh, "Okay, all right,
It's so universal. Like you, GTA is so culturally fluid.
yeah." I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say I cannot think of a more fun video game. I'm not a serious gamer, so I've never gotten into those like RPGs, the ones that are really immersive, and I can see why that's really fun because then you take on a character and you care more. But like GTA, I like that because you don't even have to like I've never even played by the rules. I just go in there and just like see how long I can keep from getting shot.
For real. Like It's like you get to live on a billion. Like you get to do whatever you could
Yeah.
do with no like no disciplines, no troubles. You just get to live the best life.
Yeah, dude. Especially once I got the cheat codes and I could make a helicopter appear whenever I want. So I would get every single cop in the city after me, and then I would make a helicopter appear and fly away. Man, it was good. I got a one man army one time. It's like it's like a secret little score in there. If you like kill enough people and don't die, they call you one man army. All right, we're not here. Look, Rockstar Video Games is not paying us, man, and we are talking about who I truly believe is up and coming Rockstar, Paris Hart. So back into the music. I'm sorry, man. I always take us on a, a tangent.
It's good. I love the chat. I love the discussion.
All right, so but this is back to the music world and definitely things like your fans are gonna be like interested in, and this is something that all right, I'm actually gonna go deep into this. We're probably gonna do some like I said before we started recording, some industry talk. But you've released multiple singles this year alone, multiple singles. Are you working toward an upcoming album, or are those singles meant to be
So
standalones?
on the 11th, we're gonna get like a little compilation. Like it's some songs that have already released and some new songs, and it's a spooky EP called Search for Me. So we're gonna delve into the spooky season, and then Coupe de Ville, Gnarly, they have that little spooky vibe. So we're gonna throw them in there, and then give the audience something spooky. And then in November or December, we're gonna do a remix of that album, and then we're gonna do everything like house EDM, just
Cool.
real crazy off the wall, and we're just make it fun. So
Yeah.
that's upcoming. On the singles, it looks like there's gonna be more singles because that's really what's pushed in the industry and like albums. Even though I love writing albums because I love the story behind it,
Yeah.
it's sort of just single driven right now.
I mean, that was 100% where my next question was going to go. But before I wanted to go, I was thinking. I know you play a lot of shows. I know you got a show coming up in Texas. Uh,
Yeah, at
when
the Launch Music Conference.
is that? When is that?
It's November 7th through 11th is the
Oh, okay.
conference festival.
Okay. So yeah, if you're listening to this interview right now and it's not already a month from today, and you live in Texas, get your ass to that show. Don't miss this. But what I wanted to ask, man, like, so I mean, you've been making music a long time. When you do shows, like you probably throw out your singles, your hits, the things people are going to recognize. Do you just kind of reach back into your bag of tricks and go like, all right, here's a song I wrote 5 years ago that or do you you were talking about jamming with Jimi Hendrix. Do you sometimes just kind of go completely off script?
Sometimes it really depends on the show. Like if it's a more of an intimate show and it's a smaller venue and it's like people are jammed in, I might do something like a Smells Like Teen Spirit or something more rock and just fun. But for the bigger
Yeah,
venues, I tend to just play mostly like my stuff because at those festivals and conferences, it's like half and half of people who know who you are or people who are like trying to discover you. So
yeah,
it's like it makes more sense for us to like try to put out the songs that are like more of Paris Heart and
yeah.
who like the songs that we have towards us to kind of show those fans like this is the discography.
Hell yeah, man. I wish I could just dip out to Texas whenever I felt like it, man. 'Cause I want to come check it out. Can I share a quick anecdote about a festival? This
Yeah, let's go.
this one doesn't exist anymore, man. And we're gonna get into some of the generational stuff because when you were saying like singles is what's going on, it's singles driven now, and like so I'm a millennial and you're a Gen Z, so it's like I was in the album era, you're in the singles era, and it's but like before me in the 70s, it was the singles era. That's how the industry worked then. But anyway, here's my quick anecdote. So, to any musicians out there, like just a quick piece of advice. I went to Warp Tour in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was so fun. I saw like Andrew WK, and I saw Sum 41. Even it was great because actually wasn't even a fan of them at the time, but it was the only spot that had a tent with they were spraying. It was like 110 degrees, and they were spraying mist in a tent. And I was like, I like Sum 41 now. But I found this one random band, and they were so good. Nobody was watching them. Like the audience for this band was like me, my brother, and like I think just one guy who was just lost, and like, but they played their show anyway. Like they were just like, you know what, we're just gonna give it our all. And I was like, these guys are great. There was one dude in the band who was playing he was playing like a trash can. Like, you know what I mean? Like they were sick, dude. And I was like, this is great. And then they were like, all right, thanks, peace. And they walked off the stage and they didn't say who they were. And so to this day,
Ah,
so I have, and obviously, like, they weren't doing well on that tour. I don't know if they even stayed on the tour for much longer or if they were a local act or what, but I would have gone out and like become their biggest fan. So a word to the wise, guys: if you play a festival, say who you are.
y- yeah, and that comes with like I think a lot of musicians they want just like the fame or the numbers or the crowd, and it's like you have to do a lot of those shows. You have to do a lot of shows where one or two people. Like I just got off the phone with my friend yesterday, and we were talking, and he's like, "I remember your first show. It was just the host of the host of the
Yeah,
venue there," and like me and him were got a good laugh out of it, but like just performing my all even back then, and he became a fan and just became a supporter and still follows me to this day and said like, hey, if you ever want to perform at my venue, like go ahead. And it's like those memories and those moments mean so much more because I mean shoot, anyone wants to go play again in front of 100 1,000 people, but it's like if you don't cherish the people that come when they do, what gives you like what why do you deserve the hundreds, you know?
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I have to share one more anecdote. I've shared this one before, but this is a long time ago. So if you're a new listener to the show, it'll be a new story to you. I was playing a festival in this band I was in for a couple years, and they kept pushing us back, pushing us back, pushing us back, pushing us back. They kept being like, "Yo, these guys have to drive back to like Texas. These guys have to drive back to New York. Can they go first?" And we were like, we only had to drive back like an hour to get back to where we were. At. We're like, yeah, dude, that makes sense. They pushed us back until, and they kept being like, here, just have drinks. Here's have some free drinks. Like keep. So they just kept getting us drunker and drunker. They got us on stage at like we were supposed to play at 8 p.m. They got us on stage at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had forgotten all my lyrics, and I was like, and I was talking to my buddy in the band, and he was like, dude, I don't just get hype and just have fun and see if like you can just bring energy and we'll get through this. Like, because he was like, I'm drunk too. I don't know what we're gonna do. And we got on stage and I was like, yo, what's up? What's up? And I started jumping and the stage broke and I broke through the stage and went under the stage and had to crawl out of the hole. And I've never walked off a stage in my life before or since, but that night I was like, fuck this, fuck this show. I'm leaving. I said, I was like, give me my check. I mean, and I'm not apologizing for the stage. You guys should have had a better setup. All right. Let's talk about all right. I I took us so far off track. All right. Generational perspective. Millennial to Gen Z. I'm just curious, man. So like I said, I was released, primarily, or I was introduced primarily to music releases albums. And that's how the record industry makes money. And, but now we've got like TikTok, you got streaming services, you got Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. And they kind of reward you for making singles. And I feel like you kind of answered this already a little bit, but I was wondering like, do you ever feel like the trends of your era kind of affect the way you create or release music? Do you feel like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I think so because like it's tough because the like I dropped Silicon Creek about 2 years ago and like I was really big on the album and like working with a PR company and getting the album out, but it seems like every album that comes out is like the first song is just listened to so much and then the second song a little bit less and a little bit less and then the end of the album is kind of like only a few listeners. So it's like the way that the industry kind of works now is weird because it's single driven. Then if you get a single that catches on, you kind of like work backwards and then put an album to it. So people go to find the single and they find the album and
yeah,
it's real wonky right now, but I that's what works. So
yeah. No, I mean that makes sense, man. Yeah, I was just kind of curious, like I said in the beginning, like being an artist in the machine. It's like you have to keep being an artist, you have to keep being yourself, but you also it's important to you that people hear what you make, and that's like so it's like what the what's going on with technology, what's going on with trends, like that's gonna affect you. What about like this is even like kind of crazier and even more like I feel like insidious to artists. But like, like when Stranger Things, when they had that Kate Bush song from the 80s, they played it and it came back and she made more money off that song. It was a hit song when it came out, but she made more money in like 2003 than she made in like 1985. Like, isn't that like? But does that ever affect you thinking like, all right, like if this song blows up on Instagram or TikTok, where people will only be hearing a few seconds of it, like I guess what I'm asking is like, how does that like? How do you feel about that? Does it like kind of make you like sad?
Kind of because so it's like I see both sides of it. As an artist, it gets upset because some people like they kind of water down their craft in the style and their whole thought process is these 30 seconds are gonna be the best, most intriguing 30 seconds, and then whatever after that, like who cares about it? And that I think is what makes it worse. But then on the other end, it's like social medias like TikTok are pretty cool because I mean we could record a video of like I could just pull up my phone, record a video of myself lip singing it, and then just throw it out there, and then people have a chance of hearing 15, 30 seconds, and if it catches someone, it catches. So it's like
Yeah,
I see both sides, and I'm trying to turn that negative to a positive.
yeah. I guess I guess what I don't know, and like it's hard. It's I mean, unless you run, you know, like data analytics at one of these companies, you wouldn't really know necessarily how many people like hear like let's say like I make a video like I'm riding a skateboard down the street now like I put on Coupe de Ville as my little story in my stories. How many people go like, oh, that sounded cool, and then they go and they click, and they go like, oh, this is Paris Hartley, this is the name of the artist. Now I'm going to go all the way over here to where I normally listen to music, and this is where I'm going to go to YouTube and try to find this. So I'm going to go to Spotify and try to find this. Like, what is the percentage of people that do that? And I just kind of worry like for artists, like especially like if you're new, it's like and like young and like in the world right now, it's like it's one thing if somebody puts a Led Zeppelin song on because you're like, oh yeah, I remember Led Zeppelin, but like if it's like a song you haven't heard it yet, like what's what I don't know. Do you have a guess? What do you think? How often do you think? How often do you do? When you hear a song and you're like on social media and it's dope, how often do you investigate?
Ooh, so I'm music heavy. So every time I hear something new, I try listening, and then I always research like the songs coming out that week or the albums, and I'll try to listen to like every album that comes out this like a specific week, and then I'll share like a TikTok video telling everyone like these are the albums coming out, you should check them out, and I try to listen to as much music as I can because I mean I just love it. But
Yeah, man, that was actually really inspirational to me right now because uh, a couple of years ago I got into a rut where I started like I was only listening to this like just the same like I was only listening to like everything that I liked when I was 20. And I was like I realized I don't want to be that guy. Like I don't want to be that, like, especially like when I'm an old man, I don't want to be like music was only good in the 2000s, like I don't want to be like that, I uh I made a special effort, I'm like I have to listen to new music all the time, and like it's cool. That's why that's why I'm so fortunate. That's why I'm speaking to you right now. Is because like I have a desire to like hear new stuff, but hearing you say something like that you're gonna check out every album that comes out in a week, I'm like that's a dedication to music that I wish I had. Like um,
some of them, well, I some of them I can't listen through. Some of them are just like you play the first two songs and it's skip, 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 skip. Okay, it was cool. Next.
yeah, yeah, for sure. This has been happening to me a lot where I find a band and like I find like a song I like, and I'm like, and I just hope so much that I'll be able to like more of what they made. But then I'm like, nothing else they made sounds like that song. I'm like, why did you make one cool song and then everything else is like, shoegaze? No offense to people that like some shoegaze, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I like that too. But I'm just saying, if they have a song and it's a bop and it's like, oh, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to this while I work out and go to the gym and put on that album, and they're like, I'm so sad. So how do you, I mean, like, how do you stay on top of this? Like, how do you even know what albums are coming out and what genres? Like, how do you even know? Like, it seems like so much information. Like, how does one man do this?
So I'll go on like the typical blog websites and I'll just like most blog websites have some of the bigger albums. And then I'll usually hold a post too, or like a poll on my IG story and be like, hey, if you're dropping this week, like let me know what albums you listened to came out this week. And a lot of the like listeners and followers are pretty good in submitting music. And sometimes like they submit artists that aren't on a big label machine and aren't really like that major. And it's like, holy crap, like
Yeah.
this is really good. Why don't they get more exposure? And, like we just try to, well, I try to use my page as like a vessel for other musicians to kind of get some more light because
Hell yeah,
I mean,
dude.
if I had someone to do that for me, that would be a blessing.
I'm really glad I follow you because instead of doing anything that you like told me to do that sounded hard, like reading, I'm just gonna go to your Instagram page.
We'll be dropping the video probably at like 3 this afternoon about songs coming out this week or albums coming out.
Shit, dude. I'll just you know what I'll do? I'll put out this podcast is immediately, which I never do. I normally will wait a little bit, but I'm not gonna edit this, so fuck it. We'll just put it out. And then
Let's
I would
go.
that'd be wild if I can get this podcast out before you drop the video and see what we can make happen, man. Let's see what we can do. Uh man, I feel like I've been just all I've been doing is anecdotes, but do you mind if I just share one more?
Go ahead. I like them.
Well, this one is actually 100% what I was like this is when I very first this is a couple of years ago when I very first noticed I was like yo, this must be where artists are making a lot of their money, maybe, or like getting at least exposure, and that's like from uh like TikTok and Reels specifically. And I was watching at the time, I was watching a lot of BMX content. And I don't know if you know where this is going. You might, because there was one song that every single BMX, like pro, am, straight up like people who had just gotten on their first bicycle ever and were out riding BMX. And and also all the motocross dudes were doing it too. So basically, everybody that was like on a two-wheel vehicle, doing stunts, they all played a song by a guy named okay, a young guy too. He must have been like 18. His name was Aiden 345 or something like that. I don't know if you. Anyway, I heard this song over. It was just the hook over and over and over and over and over, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then I mean, so in that sense, I did go. I went and I found his all his music because I was like, it like that one hook had been drilled into my head so hard for so long just because I like watching BMX content. And so I guess that's one of the dreams is like you got to find like one niche where everyone in that niche for some reason they like your song.
There's this one artist that she just got big just because there was an inmate dancing to her song. And now like it's a trend that some inmates dancing
Oh,
to the song.
yeah. Oh, yes, if you can get a trend going, man, that's funny. I had to go to the courthouse yesterday. I wasn't in trouble. It was a personal visit. I was there to visit someone as a personal, just to say hello to a government employee that is a friend of ours in the family and stuff. Um, but I was late. The courthouse was shutting down. They'd already locked the doors. And I needed to get in. Like I told her I was going to be there. You know what I mean? It was important. We had stuff to discuss, and I was like knocking on the door, like, man, let me warn you guys about banging on the door of the courthouse after they've already locked the doors, especially if you like if you're kind of like me, like and how I dress, like it kind of just like I was looking a little bummy yesterday too, and the cops inside were like, "What is this? The fuck is this dude doing?" And I was knocking on the door. I'm not gonna say any names, but he was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Hey man, I gotta meet. I have someone I need to meet here. She works here. Can you let me in?" And they like came up, and then they like put like three cops around me, and I was like, "Oh no, dude, I'm just here to visit somebody." And they didn't believe me, and they called her, and they're like, "Do you know a man named Doug McDonald?" And like they didn't believe that I knew her, and like all this stuff. But she was like, "No, he's cool, man." Like, but yeah, I thought I was gonna be in trouble. I was like, because it's not very far from there to the holding cell either, dude. I was like, dude, yo, I probably
Oh no.
should have just called and said, rescheduled. But I was 1 minute late. They locked the door at like 4:30. I was like, come on, man, nobody does that.
Oh yeah, they're so strict over there.
You could do that. All right, check it out. If you work at Taco Bell and you close at like midnight, lock that fucking door because you know some drunk dude doesn't need that burrito that bad. Courthouse, you're a government institution. I pay your taxes. All right,
For
so
real, your one job is making sure that you serve us.
yeah, yeah, I know. I was like, I'm not signing your paycheck next week, officer. I wonder what percentage. Like Spotify gives like 1 penny for play. I wonder how many of my pennies like went to that cop. All right, here's another question, man. If you could go, like I said, like the BMX dude, he wasn't even a BMXer. He was just a musician. But like, if there was like an extreme sport or like an inmate type thing that would like for Coupe de Ville, like what would you pick if you could just pick one just out of thin air?
Ooh. I don't know. I feel like the creativity for the inmates would be crazy. Like I feel like all their videos, any video that they make would be astounding to me and be like, I gotta check that out. Like
Yeah. How does that work? Cause like uh I had a man, my buddy was in prison for a while and he was on face he but he was only on Facebook because he snuck a phone in there. He wasn't like allowed to have it. And he was always doing shit too. I was like, man, bro, you're gonna get in so much trouble. Like, I'm not gonna say his name, but because he would do shit because like him and his friends in there, he would like they made liquor. People do that pretty because you can just like last time I saw him when he was out before he went back, he goes to prison a lot. Uh he was talking about how you like make it with like he was like talking about using like apple juice and you just like rot fruit. It turns into liquor. And it was like him and his buddies, and they were drunk as hell. And he's like with his cellmate in this video, and then he was like shooting like video like TikToks and shit, like drunk in his cell. And I was like, dude, the guards are gonna see this. But
oh no, there are some innovators.
yeah. But here's the question though, man. How do you how do you go viral with people that are incarcerated if like they're not allowed to have phones?
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know how she went viral. Like he's posted that dude went crazy viral and now he's
Yeah.
posting videos every single day. So it's like, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but
Dude,
I think
we
that adds to the aura of it, of like not only is this a cool song, but I get to see these guys doing something that I don't even know if they can. Like,
yeah. And also, man, there's not a lot of joy in a lot of those places, man, like in jails and prisons. So like, yeah, man, I would pick that too. I would be like, give it to the inmates. I would start a program called Get Cell Phones to Inmates. And I would like contact people. I'd be like, look, if I get this phone into you, the only thing I ask is you sing Coupe de Ville.
just a few TikToks, that's all I need.
All
You know,
right, so
I got big on the prison food trend where like they show what they're making. And
yeah.
they make some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thing, man. I'm starting to sound like I'm involved in a lot of crime. I'm not. I have a lot of friends who are involved in a lot of crime. Man, I got a buddy, some dudes get a little institutionalized and he's doing really good. He's in construction, he's making grips, man. Like he's good at what he does. But he still makes prison food. Like instead of like he could go out to a nice restaurant anytime he wants and like if you go over to his house, he's like check this out and he's like especially with those ramen recipes. He'll be making. He's like, yeah, man, this is called like ramen lasagna, like or whatever. And I'm like, man, you don't have to eat this anymore, man.
I want to try it. I never tried any of it. I feel like they should have a show where they bring like chefs in to try it.
Bro, they make some good. I mean, because I mean, first of all, you got nothing but time. You got nothing to work with but ramen and a few other things. And like, if you're really creative, because a lot of that stuff is like from the commissary, so it's just snack foods. So you can get some flavor profiles in there. Yo, I'm gonna stop talking about prison food and ask you another question, man. This is another one of those like, hey, Paris, will you just like guess the hardest guess in the world? But so for a brief moment in the early 2000s, selling ringtones. I don't know if you know about this. I know you're a really young guy, but selling ringtones was one of the largest profit sectors for the recording industry. I mean, it was huge. It was like like 3 6 Mafia was like buy our ringtones. That's was like their main hustle was ringtones. But obviously nobody wants that anymore. Nobody has a ringer on. It didn't last long. Do you have any speculation on what will be the next extremely popular but short-lived industry trend?
If I had to take any guesses, I would say like selling music in like Roblox or video games
Such
because
a good idea.
I think that market, especially with VR, is going to take off. Just I think music is a lot of people aren't buying music with streaming services, and I mean, if you want to listen to a song, you just tell Spotify or like people have their echoes and they tell them what to play. But I think really getting into video games is pretty untapped for those type of games where you
Yeah,
could spend the money or you could buy whatever. So I think that's the next big thing.
that's yeah, because it's been done in the sense like when Tony Hawk first came out, they're like, let's put real music in this, and then actually back to Grand Theft Auto, I was introduced to a lot of music from the original, the very very first one where you like see the car from like from above, like there's nothing realistic about it. That's where I first heard that song that's like, got the yayo, no, no, got the yayo. And I was like, I actually remixed that. I redid that. I didn't remix it. I basically just stole that hook and like made another song out of it just because I was like, I didn't know it was a real song. I thought it was a video game song at first. So, hey, can I ask you a stupid question?
Hey.
So I've heard the word Roblox like 1 million times. But I don't know what that is. What is Roblox?
Oh, so so it's basically it's like they're called sandbox video games. So
Okay.
basically, like they give the creator do you remember the Mario game that came out where like you could make your own levels or make your own stages?
No, but that sounds cool.
So basically, Roblox is like it puts the fun in the game player's hands. So if you want to make a game mode, you could like you have the freedom to go and make a game mode.
Okay.
So
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 you're
like
making your own video game.
yeah, or you could join other people's like servers or the games that they made and jump in that. That's basically all it
Yeah.
is.
That just sound like so when you originally said selling music in that way, you could be like because you could go in there and you make your own characters. Can you make your own avatars and all that stuff? Yeah, you could just go in there
Yeah.
and just be like, "Hey, I am Paris Hart, and I'm in this game, and if you want to come, and you could like sell tickets to your show. I don't know. I mean, because you say like you said, VR is getting bigger, and like that could be. Oh, like think about this too. Like you're in the hospital, can't go anywhere, you're bored out of your fucking mind. VR headset, straight to a concert. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
front stage at a concert.
Oh, that also on a more like on a less like industry level and a more like just doing something great for like the world like what's that thing that Make-A-Wish Foundation, like just like
Ooh,
throwing out like just getting all those kids VR headsets and then like doing like festivals for those kids.
that would be cool.
Yeah, except for every single kid always asks for John Cena. Did you know that?
Do 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 do.
Dude, John Cena is the number one most requested Make-A-Wish Foundation dude in the world, and I think he's also the person who's done the most because he like I think even though he seems like a dickhead, that's just like the roles he plays. Like in real life, I think he's a nice guy.
He seems like a cool dude to kick it with.
Yeah, dude, I would. If John Cena was like, "Yo, do you want to like kick back and like have some beers and shit?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah! You want to wrestle?" uh,
I gotta ask him about his music because he dropped like two hard rap albums.
oh no, he did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, before he or like when he was just getting into WWE, he dropped like the his You Can't See Me was on one of the albums.
Oh my god. Okay, so like as I promised, I am putting the podcast out like almost as soon as I can. But right before I do that, I gotta jump over. I'm gonna check out the John Cena rap album because I had no idea that it even existed. Hey, can I ask you like a bummer question, like a sad? It's like not sad, but
Yeah, go ahead.
it's just like I think a lot of artists and just people just just doing anything that's like when you do something that's not just doing your fucking job because everybody burns out on their job, but like I was just wondering, like, do you ever deal with burnout? Like the feeling, it's hard to express this, but like the feeling where following your dreams feels like a chore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, when that happens, I usually just put everything down because like it'll happen a lot if I'm starting to write a song. So I'll write my songs in halves. Like I'll write verse, chorus, and then I won't touch it just because I'll get burned out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But what I try to think of is like if I'm not having fun doing this, then people aren't gonna have fun like listening to it or being a part of it. So it's like might as well just stop and take five.
Yeah. That's that's really good advice on it. If like especially when you're on a creative project, if it's making you unhappy, it's probably a good time to like step away from it for a second. And if you have something, especially if you have maybe more than one you burner on the oven going, maybe something else might like bring the passion back or whatever. I remember anecdote. No, but this is just like something somebody said to me one time. My very first band, I'm not gonna say it was necessarily a great, but like our live shows, people would always seem to have a great time. And someone said that to me, or it wasn't said directly to me, but it was relayed to me. And someone was talking about how much fun appeared to be having on stage, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I don't really like this kind of music, but Doug seemed like he was having so much fun that I just started having fun too." So yeah, that fun's contagious, man. But yeah, I
Yeah,
agree
and
with you.
if you're vibing out, we got no choice but to vibe out with Doug.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like that's the thing is you don't want to see someone on stage who like clearly doesn't want to be there. They're like, man, I don't want to be here. I was like
Yeah, and a
Kanye.
lot
I
of
feel like
artists out
Kanye
there
did
that are
that.
listening.
Do you remember?
A lot of artists that are out there listening, like you're never too cool for it. Like, don't I hate a lot of the artists that are like, oh, like I'm too cool to do that, or oh, I'm too cool to show emotion. Like,
Yeah.
emotion is who we are. Like, showing feelings is shows that we're people. Like, we're not robots. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the fact that you were vibing on stage is that's so gnarly.
Yeah. It would be harder for me to do now. Just like I got responsibilities like with a kid and stuff, and like I'm not currently I don't have any music projects right now anyway. But what I used to always like to do too is like show was over, I would try to go meet anybody in the audience that like I would always know a lot of people too, just as like friends would show up to support. But like I try to meet people I didn't already know and be like, hey, like yo, what's up, and like so everybody leaves with a good feeling. Everybody's like, I had a fun time. And then, hey, the band didn't just bounce out the back door, or, like, go back to the green room. Like they came out, got in the audience. So,
Heck yeah.
all right, here's a question that we almost got to, but we didn't quite get to. So you had a different name back before you made your diss track. Uh, and we're not gonna talk about that name because we don't give a fuck about that dude. But um, how'd you land on Paris Heart?
So it was I a lot of the choices that I made are like purely instincts. So Paris Hart, I was mad and I wanted closure from the situation. So like
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a name. I was like, oh, I like Thrax too much, or oh, like there was just something there. So after I wrote the diss track, I was like, it's good, but like now, who am I? Who am I trying to like be as a musician, what direction do I want to go? And I was just thinking and thinking, and I was like, I really want a rock star name. What's a name that
Yeah. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
want to say? And I just thought Paris Hart sounded just really funky and something that you could see on a banner or at a show, and it just seems a little catchy to me.
Yo,
And
until
the love, like the Paris is the city of love, and like the heart is like what we love with. So try to incorporate something that not is only catchy, but shows that it's like positivity, love, and like that's really the direction of the music is like positivity.
yeah. Yeah. No, I was gonna say too, like when you said a rock star name, because until you had emailed me directly, I thought your name was Paris. I just thought your parents named you Paris Hart. Like that's really, I was like, damn, he got a cool, like his cool fucking name. Some cool parents. I was like,
Oh,
damn, it's like his parents just gave him a rock star name. Speaking of which, yeah, going back, man, uh, to your like to your way back roots. You were born on a reservation in New York?
yeah, at a Native American reservation, and like an hour south of Buffalo.
Well, I mean, what were your parents doing there? Just kicking it? Like, just your mom's like, I'm about to have a baby. Let's go up to the reservation. Or what, like, I mean, did they have like a doula up there that they were working with, or what's going on?
So they were both in college. Like they both went to colleges fairly close to each other, and that was just where they ended up.
Okay, cool,
Like
man.
it's about
Yeah.
20 minutes off the campus, and they were like, it's a nice cheap spot to raise a family. So
Oh, so you guys like actually were living on the reservation.
yeah, we were living on it.
Oh, that's cool. Hell yeah, man.
The school's on it, everything's on it.
Yeah, dude. You ever watch Res
They teach
Dogs?
you how to speak it too.
Oh, cool. Hell yeah. What reservation was it?
The Senecas.
Senecas? Oh, cool, man. Hell yeah. That sounds like a
Yeah, so
really
we could
cool place
count
to.
like Sky, Dake Me, Say, Gay, We, Yay, Zada.
How long did you live there?
Ooh, I'll say I moved around a lot as a child, but it was about we always went back there. So it was like I'll say 15, 16 years.
Oh, so you speak Seneca for sure.
I
I
can
mean,
understand most of it.
that's sick, man. I wonder if they, those apps that teach you how to be bilingual. Because I already speak Spanish, but like, well, I speak Spanish, air quotes, but um, like I speak enough Spanish to where like my mechanic doesn't speak like any English at all, and so I speak enough Spanish to be able to talk about like a car to him. But like if someone just dropped me like in Mexico City and they're like, have fun, I would probably like people would be like, this dude doesn't speak Spanish. No, the reason I said that I was wondering if some of those like apps that like help you become bilingual or trilingual, if you could learn Seneca on there.
There's people in the community that are trying to push it, but like it's sort of a dying language. So I'm pretty sure in there because they have their own government. I'm pretty sure that they have their own people in it that are trying to keep the like push the language and kind of like I don't want to say a missionary, but they're trying to if people want to learn it, that they'll gladly teach
Yeah, yeah.
like
Well,
in that type of
dude.
way.
Uh, hey guys, I don't have a petition for you to sign, everybody listening out there, but we have to keep the Seneca language alive. So if you are on Duolingo or what, I don't know what else there is, Rosetta Stone, if you're on that, call your representative or what, call whoever, call the 1-800 number they gave you and say, I want to learn Seneca. Even if you don't want to learn it, just say you want to so that so they get
Heck
pushed.
yeah, we got to get awareness to it and we got to keep the language going because it's fun to speak. And
Yeah.
a lot of their cultural traditions are pretty wavy.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would be willing to wager that online there might be an online course in Seneca. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be through an app like this. I mean, that's stupid for me to be like, that's so like current, like internet brained, like millennial shit. Now I'm like, well, if they don't teach it on our app, then they don't teach it. Like, I'm sure, I'm sure there are like Seneca scholars that have created courses, and I mean, so everybody
Well,
get out there,
they
learn
make
some
it a
Seneca.
mandatory course back home. So like we had to learn it until middle school.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Uh, no, I'm gonna ask you to say something in Seneca.
Um,
Sorry, I have a cough, man. I'm trying to stop. Oh God, I hope it's not COVID. All right, say, oh no, I hope it's not COVID in Seneca.
oh my gosh, I don't think I know how to say that. I
Well,
know how to say the
you probably
basics
just
like
say COVID.
I know how to say like the typical travel stuff like the counting, the grandparents, the hi, how are you doing? Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
very touristy in the language.
Okay, how do you say thank you?
You know,
Man, I'm not even gonna fucking embarrass myself. Could you do? Could you do?
NYOH, you
No. Okay. Cool.
There you
All right.
go.
Next time I meet someone that's Seneca and they do something nice for me, I'm gonna say no. And then if they're deaf, I'll do the and then and then they could read my lips and see that I also know how to say thank you and sign, and they'd be like, "This is a cool dude. I like this guy." Yeah. All right, man. Just Roblox style question. This is completely a Roblox question, man. if you weren't making music, what would you be doing instead? What would be your passion, man?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, I know to say that to someone who's like, yo, I listen to every album that comes out every week. That's how much I love music. And I'm like, yo, imagine a world where you don't make music at all and you're doing something else. It's like
Well,
secondary passion. Okay, here's the deal. You can still make music one on Saturdays. You can still make music on Saturdays, but the other 6 days of the week you have to have a different dream.
gotta be a teacher or like something in healthcare where I can help people.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like your vibe, dude, for sure. Like yeah, like healthcare, teaching, like something where you're like because you seem like, through your music you're like you're trying to bring like love and like understanding and like, just good vibes. And man, you find a lot of that uh in that health like my kid was born premature and in the NICU, that's like the natal intensive care unit. He had to live there for a while, and man, I went in there and I was all brand new dad. I only have one kid. I never had a kid before. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just in there. I was like lost, and all the nurses in there, man, it was like I had never met people like that in my. I was like you know these are like angels. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can see that for
Heck
you,
yeah.
man. If you ever said, like when we were talking about burnout, if you're ever like, you know what, man, I'm gonna take a year to do something else, man, I could see you doing some kind of helping people thing, working at the mission.
That's vibey.
Or, man, you know what I really want to do? I want to plant
What?
trees.
Ooh,
Like, and not
that's
not just
tough.
for a weekend. I just want to I thought about it like I was thinking about dream jobs and stuff, and like I'm really interested in like reforestation, but like for the whole planet, And I was like, man, I would love to just be out just like planting entire forests all over the planet, for the rest of my until I'm so old that that I'm just out there with a cane and I'm telling other people to plant trees, and I'm like, you plant the tree over there. Maybe
Well,
I'll make
like
that.
Johnny Appleseed in it.
Yes, I think he was real. Was he real?
If he's real, that's gonna just blow.
All right, guys, hit us up in the DMs. If Johnny Appleseed is real, we want to know, but we're not going to look it up ourselves. This is your job. This is the job of the listeners. Paris, man, I got one last question for you, dude, but it is the most important question of the day. And this is where can people find you, follow you, listen to your music, check out your videos, go to your shows, everything Paris Hart affiliated.
So y'all can find me on all social media platforms at Paris Heart Official. That's Paris the Town, Heart in Your Chest Official. And on any streaming platforms at Paris Heart. And just come through, DM us. I DM everybody back. It's all good vibes over here. And if you have music, feel free to send it over because I'm always down to hear some new musicians and just for the vibes. Always here for the vibes.
Yeah. Yo, and also like if like we said earlier, Paris is out here in the stories putting out surveys, so you're gonna be like exposed to all kinds of artists you never would have heard of them if it wasn't for Paris. Also, man, I don't want to end this on like a jealous note, but when you said Paris the town heart, like in your would you say Paris the town heart in your
Oh,
chest,
I usually
man?
I usually say Paris to town, heart in your chest, to straight to your ears, or some variation of that.
I got so jealous when you said it. I was like, man, I wish I could say that with my name. Man, my name doesn't do that at all. I could be like Doug, the past tense of dig. McDonald's, the restaurant. Man, mine sucks, dude. I hate it. Well, all right. No, we're gonna end it on good vibes. The past there's the Fry Kids were cool. The Fry Kids were cool. Grimace is cool. Grimace is like the New York Mets mascot now. Did you know that?
And
Yeah.
I've just been looking at the mayor situation in New York.
Oh my god, man. Well, dude, you might have to come back on if we're gonna do an Eric Adams episode. That's just gonna be like, hey, look, I love it, man. He's like, they're like, so how do you feel about getting indicted? And he's like, yeah, man, it's got swagger. And I was like, this dude is just,
I was I was shocked when he was like, "Yeah, if y'all like marijuana or cannabis, roll up, read my book." I was like, "Dog, you're that's not what you should be saying right now."
he's also he was a cop for like this is the thing that I think is the craziest thing. This dude was a cop for like 25 years, and then he thought that if he like deleted his text messages, the FBI wouldn't be able to get him. I was like, dude, how do you not know that the FBI can recover your texts, man? You were a cop. He was like the chief of police. It's like he was like the highest cop in like New York.
The-
Anyway,
It's oh, his story is funny. I can't wait. They're gonna have to do a documentary on it. I can't wait to see that one because this
yeah.
dude just it just moves so crazy.
I mean, that's the thing is like it's almost like I think what he thought he was like he's like, man, what I'm doing is so weird. There's no one that's even gonna like it's almost like in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas when Hunter S. Thompson's like he's like, hopefully when somebody sees all the crimes we committed, there'll be no one that can believe it to bring the hammer down on us. And I thought that's the fact that he just spent like 4 years of being in office like straight up in Turkey. He was just like in the Turkish airport the whole time.
In Turkey, like
It's like, who wants to live in the Turkish airport, man? Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. If I wasn't doing like the things that I was doing with my life, I would try to be moving like Eric Adams, but not getting caught. I would be like, yo, I'm gonna make some deals with Turkey. I'll be like, all right, Turkey, I want 10 million bucks. I want unlimited airfare to every country in the world, and I don't care if I have to do a layover in Istanbul every time.
it was so funny though, because like they were trying to say, or they said that they have wire transfers, and I'm like, dude, you couldn't take cash as a cop. You should know. You could track
Cash,
wire transfer.
dude, ask for gold. Just ask for jewel. Like you could at least take jewelry and pawn it, man. Like I don't know, just yeah. I guess
You could have even took Bitcoin.
what blows me away is more than anything is that he was a cop for like 40 years or whatever. I mean, he was a cop for like until he was like the mayor. Like he should have so much information about how to like because like there's like so many cops that are crooked and they don't ever get caught because they know everything you do. They're like, okay, don't give me a wire transfer. You can only pay me cash. Don't text message me the crime we're doing. You could even the thing is you could even if you want to like avoid the text trail, if you just call somebody, unless the feds have already tapped your phone, there's no record of that phone call. Like even just he could have just made a phone call. Nobody would be able to prove shit. Also, don't go to Istanbul like 30 times a year. Like people are gonna catch on.
For real. I like the way he's going out though. Everyone on his team is gone, but he believes he has a
Yeah.
fighting chance.
Yeah, let's go ahead and say, man, that dude, if nothing else, he's got confidence, man. He's got like it's he has a level of confidence, man. We all maybe want to aspire to, but just maybe like don't get busted.
For real. If whatever happens in life, I hope to have that much confidence.
Yeah, and he believes in ghosts. So like I kind of like that's why I first thought he was cool because he was said the Gracie Mansion was haunted, and
Oh,
I was like, sick, dude. The mayor thinks uh that the mayor's mansion is haunted. I was like, I probably like that's. I remember when he first came out, like when he first came on my radar when he became the mayor, and I was like, sick, dude, because like I fuck with ghosts too, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, this is gonna be the kind of mayor like that. I wish I lived in New York so I had a ghost mayor, but he's come a long way since talk about ghosts.
for real.
Happy
Oh,
Halloween,
for real.
everybody! Yo, the spooky album is dropping on the 7th, right?
The 11th, 11th.
the, the 11th, another lucky number. And everybody, Paris Heart official on all platforms, Paris Heart on streaming music, and of course, same thing on YouTube if you want to check out the videos. Uh, Paris, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being on the podcast, homie.
Thank you for having me. And everyone out there, don't just check out this interview. Go check out the rest of Doug's interviews because he has some dope ones. I was just listening to the Joe Mayo one. That one's my favorite. And there's a whole eclectic group of people that he interviews that you should have to check out. Like I shouldn't have to tell you anymore. Y'all should do the rest of the work and go check it out on yourself.
Man, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. All right, Paris, man. I will see you at some point live at one of your shows, dude. No doubt.
Heck yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.